Those children have no place at a graduation ceremony. They'll ruin Emma's special day. My mother-in-law, Margaret, screeched, her face turning an alarming shade of red as she blocked the entrance to the university auditorium. My two kids, ages 6 and 8, clutched my hands tightly, shrinking behind me at her outburst. My name is Olivia, and I never thought I'd be standing outside my sister-in-law's college graduation, publicly humiliated by my mother-in-law while other families streamed past us, giving us concerned looks. Margaret, they're her niece and nephew, I said calmly, though my heart was racing. They've been practicing sitting quietly, and they made cards to congratulate their Aunt Emma. I don't care what they made. Margaret snapped, eyeing my children like they were wild animals. This is a sophisticated ceremony. We have important family friends attending. I won't have them embarrassing us with their fidgeting and noise. I felt my son, Lucas, squeeze my hand tighter, and my daughter, Sophia's, eyes filled with tears. These were the same grandchildren Margaret had barely acknowledged since their birth. The ones she'd excluded from every family gathering with increasingly ridiculous excuses. Their family, I insisted, meeting her gaze. Your grandchildren. Margaret's laugh was cold. Family? Please, just because my son made the mistake of marrying you doesn't make those kids worthy of our family events. Emma specifically said she doesn't want them here. That stung. Emma, my husband David's younger sister, had always followed her mother's lead in treating us like unwanted additions to their perfect family. The fact that she'd rather have her niece and nephew excluded from her graduation than risk them embarrassing her said everything about their family values. That's not true, Mom, a voice called from behind Margaret. We turned to see Emma standing there in her graduation gown, her expression unreadable. I never said I didn't want them here. Margaret's face flickered with panic before settling into a dismissive smile. Honey, I'm just trying to protect your special day. You know how children can be. By making a scene in front of everyone? Emma raised an eyebrow, glancing at the growing crowd of onlookers. Real classy, Mom. I was surprised by Emma's intervention. In the 8 years I'd been married to David, she'd never once stood up to her mother, especially not in my defense. Where's David? Emma asked, looking around for her brother. Parking the car, I replied. He dropped us at the entrance because Lucas has a sprained ankle from soccer practice. Margaret seized on this immediately. See, they're already causing problems. We'll have to delay everything because that boy can't walk properly. That's enough. David's voice cut through her tirade as he joined us. My husband of 8 years looked at his mother with a mixture of disappointment and resignation. Ma, we're all going inside now. As a family, if you make another scene, you'll be the one missing the ceremony. Margaret's mouth opened and closed like a fish out of water. This wasn't how she'd expected things to go. She'd counted on Emma backing her up, on David staying quiet as usual. Instead, her perfect plan to exclude us was falling apart. Fine, she spat, stepping aside. But when they ruin everything, don't say I didn't warn you. As we made our way to our seats, I noticed Emma lingering behind. She pulled something from her graduation gown, a small digital camera. I recorded everything, she whispered as she passed me. Mom's tantrum, or trying to ban my niece and nephew. I'm tired of her controlling every family event with her drama. I stared at her, stunned by this unexpected alliance. Emma gave me a small smile. Maybe it's time someone showed everyone who really ruins family gatherings. Little did Margaret know, her very public attempt to exclude her grandchildren was about to backfire spectacularly. The family photos wouldn't be the perfectly curated images she'd planned. They would tell a very different story, one that would force our entire family to confront the ugly truth she'd been hiding behind her sophisticated facade. As we settled into our seats, Lucas and Sophia sat perfectly still, just as they'd practiced. I caught Margaret's eye from across the aisle. She was already on her phone, probably complaining to her country club friends about her daughter's graduation being ruined by her son's unfortunate family. I smiled, knowing that soon everyone would see exactly who was really ruining family moments. But for now, we had a graduation to celebrate, and my children were going to show everyone just how well-behaved they could be. The ceremony was about to begin, and with it, a chain of events that would change our family dynamic forever. The graduation ceremony went perfectly. Despite Margaret's dire predictions, Lucas and Sophia sat quietly through the entire event, their eyes wide with excitement as they watched their Aunt Emma receive her diploma. They even remembered to wave their little handmade signs at exactly the right moment, making Emma beam with genuine pride. But Margaret wasn't about to let the day end without trying to maintain control. At the post-graduation reception, she orchestrated the perfect photo opportunity, gathering her elite circle of friends and their families for what she called appropriate family photos. "Now let's get the family together," Margaret announced loudly, gesturing to her chosen group. "Emma, darling, stand here with your cousins, Victoria and Elizabeth." I watched as she deliberately positioned everyone, conspicuously excluding us from the family pictures. Lucas tugged at my sleeve, his voice small but clear. "Mom, why doesn't Grandma want us in the pictures?" Before I could answer, Emma spoke up. "Actually, Mom, I want Sophia and Lucas in these photos. They're my niece and nephew." Margaret's perfectly painted smile faltered. "Honey, we want these photos to be perfect for the alumni newsletter. Let's keep it traditional." "Traditional?" Emma's voice carried across the reception area. "You mean exclusive? Elitist? Because that's what this looks like, Mom." The gathered crowd grew quiet, watching the scene unfold. Margaret's friends exchanged uncomfortable glances as she tried to maintain her composure. "Emma, dear, you're making a scene." "No, Mom, you made a scene earlier when you tried to ban my brother's children from my graduation. And now you're doing it again." Emma pulled out her phone, tapping the screen a few times. "In fact, let me show everyone exactly what happened." Margaret's face went pale as Emma held up her phone, the video from earlier playing clearly for everyone to see. There was Margaret in all her glory screaming about how my children would ruin everything, blocking their entry to the ceremony. "Oh my," one of Margaret's friends gasped. "Margaret, those are your grandchildren." Another friend stepped away from the group photo. "I had no idea. Is this why we never see David's children at any of the club events?" The carefully constructed image Margaret had maintained in her social circle was crumbling. Years of lies about why her grandchildren were never present at family functions were being exposed. "They're perfectly well-behaved children," Emma continued, her voice firm. "But our mother has spent years excluding them because she's ashamed of them. Ashamed that her son married someone who wasn't from her social circle." I felt David's hand slip into mine as we watched the scene unfold. Our children, still not fully understanding the situation, stood quietly beside us, proving with their very behavior how wrong Margaret's accusations had been. "That's quite enough," Margaret snapped, her facade finally cracking. "Emma, I've given you everything, the perfect graduation, the right connections. And this is how you repay me? By humiliating me in front of everyone?" "No, Mom," Emma replied calmly. "You humiliated yourself, and I'm done pretending it's okay." She walked over to us, taking Lucas and Sophia by the hands. "Come on, let's take a real family photo. One with all of us." As Emma posed with her niece and nephew, more people began gathering around, including several of Margaret's friends who had quietly slipped away from her group. The photographer she'd hired captured everything: the genuine smiles, the natural joy, and in the background, Margaret's increasingly isolated figure. "Send those to the alumni newsletter," Emma told the photographer with a smile. "Show them what a real family looks like." Margaret stood alone, watching as her carefully orchestrated photo session transformed into something entirely different. Her phone buzzed incessantly. The video of her earlier behavior was already circulating among her social circle. "I never thought she could be so cruel to children," I overheard one of her friends whisper. "Did you see how well-behaved those kids were during the ceremony? And she tried to ban them." The whispers grew, and with each one, Margaret's position in her social hierarchy visibly crumbled. The woman who had spent years orchestrating the perfect family image was watching it all fall apart, replaced by the truth she tried so hard to hide. As the reception continued, Margaret made one last attempt to salvage her reputation. She approached us, her voice sickly sweet. "Perhaps we could take just one photo together. For appearance's sake." Emma looked at her mother, then at her niece and nephew. "I think we've had enough of appearances, Mom. These photos are perfect just as they are." The day was ending, but the repercussions of Margaret's exposed behavior were just beginning. As we left the reception, I couldn't help but notice how many of her friends were already distancing themselves, their polite smiles replaced by genuine warmth toward my children. The family photos would indeed go public, but not in the way Margaret had planned. They would tell a story of authenticity over appearance, of love over social status, and of a family finally breaking free from the chains of pretense. And somewhere in the background of every photo, Margaret stood alone, finally facing the consequences of her years of cruel exclusion. The aftermath of Emma's graduation proved more significant than any of us could have imagined. Within days, the video of Margaret's attempt to ban her grandchildren had spread through her entire social circle. The carefully curated photos from the reception told their own story, one where the inappropriate grandchildren turned out to be the most well-behaved people there. A week after the graduation, Margaret's phone call came as no surprise. "This is all your fault," she hissed when I answered. "My friends at the country club are questioning my membership. The charity board is reconsidering my position because my values don't align with their family-first mission. You've ruined everything." "No, Margaret," I replied calmly. "You did this to yourself. 8 years of excluding your grandchildren, of treating them like they were somehow lesser than your real family, it finally caught up with you." "They're discussing it at the next board meeting," she continued as if she hadn't heard me. "They're going to vote on my position. You have to tell them it was all a misunderstanding." I couldn't help but laugh. "A misunderstanding? Which part? The video of you screaming at your grandchildren, or the years of excluding them from family events?" The silence on the other end was telling. What surprised us most was Emma's continued support. She sent us the professional photos from the graduation, beautiful shots of Lucas and Sophia with their aunt, their genuine smiles lighting up every frame. Even more surprising was the note she attached. "I'm sorry it took me so long to stand up to Mom. These kids deserve better from their aunt. I hope it's not too late to be part of their lives." David, my usually quiet husband, finally found his voice in all this. He scheduled a family meeting without Margaret, where he apologized to our children for not standing up for them sooner. "You are perfect exactly as you are," he told them, his voice thick with emotion. "And I'm sorry I ever let anyone make you feel otherwise." The real change came 3 weeks after the graduation. Margaret's social circle, the one she'd worked so hard to impress, began reaching out to us directly. They invited us, specifically including Lucas and Sophia, to their family events. The children were asked to join summer activities they'd previously been excluded from. Every invitation felt like a small victory. Margaret's position on the charity board was indeed put to a vote. When she called to tell us she'd been asked to step down, her voice was different, smaller, almost reflective. "I don't suppose," she said hesitantly, "I could have a chance to get to know them properly this time." I looked at my children playing quietly in the garden. "That's not up to me," I replied. "You'll have to ask them. And this time, you'll have to earn their trust." Emma hosted a small family dinner a month later. Margaret came, subdued and uncertain. She watched as Lucas proudly showed everyone his latest art project and as Sophia demonstrated her new gymnastics routine. For the first time, she saw them as they were, not as interruptions to her perfect image, but as children worthy of love and attention. "They're quite remarkable," she whispered to me during dinner, watching them use their best manners. "I've missed so much." "Yes," I agreed simply. "You have." The photos from Emma's graduation still make regular appearances on social media, not the staged ones Margaret had planned, but the real ones. Emma with her niece and nephew, the 3 of them laughing at something Lucas had said. They tell the story of family finding its way back to what matters. Margaret's journey to redemption is slow, marked by small steps and occasional setbacks. She's learning that real family values aren't about perfect photos or social status. They're about love, acceptance, and the courage to admit when you've been wrong. Lucas and Sophia are teaching her these lessons, showing her what she missed with their endless capacity for forgiveness and joy. They've even started calling her grandma again, though the title now comes with expectations of earned trust rather than assumed authority. As for Emma, she's become the aunt she always should have been. Weekend visits, impromptu ice cream trips, and genuine interest in her niece and nephew's lives have become the norm. The graduation ceremony that Margaret feared would be ruined became, instead, the catalyst for healing our broken family. The family photos did go public, but not in the way Margaret had feared. They showed a family choosing authenticity over appearance, love over social status, and truth over pretense. They told the story of a grandmother learning that real family values can't be photographed. They have to be lived. And somewhere in our family album, there's a new photo, One of Margaret's sitting on the floor with Lucas and Sophia, helping them build a Lego castle. Her perfect outfit is slightly rumpled, but her smile finally reaches her eyes. It's not the image she spent years trying to create, but it's real, and in the end, that's what matters most.